One of the stories that, in my opinion, does not get talked about enough from this year's Worlds is how Dishsoap managed to recover his Worlds run by starting out 7, 8, and 7. He still managed to go into that competition all the way to game 12, almost making that game 13, and then also having that final shot for the final lobby. Nonetheless, unfortunately, it didn't work out, but the way he recovered his tournament run was still spectacular. Therefore, for today, for perhaps the last time this set, we're going to be jumping in game with Dishsoap. Starting out here already with that Velvet pair picked up. Definitely, if we hit Rek'Sai, considering playing around these Primordians, which can lead into many lines, also have picked up the Pantheon, have the Ezreal and Shop, so, and since we have this Milio, definitely can consider. Otherwise, our slams, not particularly fascinating in my opinion. QSSS is something you can consider, but then you're pretty much locking yourself into Master Yi. Our god game is Yasuo and Thresh. Therefore, probably leaning... We are fine to be taking both items and econ. Thresh is just random and Yasuo is obviously just overpowered. And we are just holding on to these econ options, right? To generate some kind of econ. Otherwise, our opener is looking quite a weak. We do not have the strongest board. We haven't paired anything up. Cluttered Mine, an amazing econ option to be considering this kind of spot. Reach for the Stars, Jack, saw a lot of play in Worlds with varying degrees of success, but we do not really have slams for it. We do not have the Stargazers for it, that we could be stringing the board together, and I'm not sure if even the Stargazer constellation is the next level you're looking for. Crimea River, you pick this if you can make a slam and then play into some kind of a casting comp. We, again, do not have a spot for it. Replication is a great direction-giving augment, in my opinion. You hit bows, you can consider Xayah if the Stargazer is playable also, otherwise Master Yi. If your Psionic is good, swords are great. Belts are fine. Cloaks in this heavy AP meta are also fine. But you would want to be tempoing from this, and we do not have that. Same goes for Warlords. Warlords you pick up if you're going to be playing into the reroll for a stage 3 spike. We would have to scout, see if there's any Jinx players. Did not even opt to do so. Instead, we're going to be playing these 3 time breakers. We're going to pick up Cluttered Mine. We have the Velvet too in shop though. That this is one of the unlikelier hits, but fortunately do not have that Rek'Sai yet to be playing around these Primordians. See, there's the 2 tanky players solo leveling, perhaps playing around that Briar. We are going to opt to still make this Velvet as we can do so. Opting player against around Talon. Playing around Talon has seen a lot of success. Sometimes the little worrisome part is that Talon can get nuked down, especially on 1-star here. Therefore, he has slammed that Sterak's Gauge to give him some survivability, one of the better items to be considering. And with solo leveling, you are completely fine to be... If you win 3 rounds, you're pretty much in a good spot. Now we find that Rek'Sai, so we're going to be instead slotting in these Primordians. Primordians are going to have a little bit more value than the 3 timebreakers in the earlier stages of the game when you are making these econ intervals to compound this interest, especially with an econ nuking augment such as the Cluttered Mine. And then we can also play this busted board of 3 timebreaker, 3 Primordian for extra econ generation if we're hoping to play from some kind of low streak winout. I'm just not exactly sure how we're going to arrive there from this, as for example something like Master Yi and the Nova lines, which are generally how you're going to end up playing from this Primordian opener, are more considered to be the win streak early lines. Also, if we wanted to make 10 here, we would have to give up on this Milio, right? Unless we win the fight, of course, but we're scouting around to see Bodyguard training there, perhaps playing into that Space Groove line, extremely strong here. Woven Magic, a great tempo augment if you're able to slam here. Maybe has that Leona Princess as well. Steel of Bora, one of the upcoming players in this set who has shown himself. Yeah, we're going to give up onto this Milio here to make 10, opting to index onto these econ intervals. Plus, we have the possibility, obviously, of... we have the strongest board right now from these Primordians. Cosmic Hex, busted. You click this, especially if you're playing reroll, playing into Ornn, you click this, it's very strong. However, for ourselves, since our direction is not really set yet, we are not going to gaining a lot of stacking from this. Therefore, Mystery Loot is very appealing from this kind of a spot. Just on overall is going to have a little bit more advantage. And we also have to, we're going to pick up Bow. Does that complete any slam for ourselves? Obviously, we could slam QSSS if we wanted to on this Bell, but this would be the best slam we could be going for. High Roll or Riven, though. Okay, probably going to opt to hold on to that. We're going to immediately level and slot that in as well, get it through to Timebreaker rolling, but I'm unsure of the slams, right? This is the part where you want to be committed, going to opt, since we level, try to play a stronger board, and he's going to be slotting in a fast 9 board from this. He believes that he is going to have enough tempo now that we found his Pantheon 2. We have the Slam for Velvet, which is one of the better items, and the QSSS can be utilized. It's alright on the Vex, since you're running the Takali, you have some precision already, otherwise it's fine on the Graves as well. And if we're able to pick up a decent amount of rounds right now, we should be in a spot to do so, as we have all these econ generators, right? We're going to have the free rerolls from the timebreakers if you're going to be sacking, or just XP to push levels, XP from the Cluttered Mine, plus raw gold from the Primordian. So this is nicely strung together. An opener that, in my opinion, earlier on didn't lead down many roads. He's identifying that scouting the lobby, we should be strong enough, and we're going to print a Rek'Sai 2 as well. There's a Lulu player, Title here playing another Lulu. You can see a lot of Cosmic Hexes. Every reroller is just picking this up. And also the Challenger Warden. Wasn't there a 2 tanky player? This person might be in a little bit of a tough spot. That is why the MF comp hasn't seen that much success. It's just that the Wardens and Maokais are consistent all around. We're completely fine to be sacking the Cluttered Mine here on PvE round, as it doesn't count. And immediately push level 6. Kind of an interval to be on, and trying to extend the streak, right? It's completely fine for us to break the econ interval here. If we win, we can even opt it. Well, selling the Akali, you could get in the Akali jail later on, especially as we might not have that much gold, but we want to be pushing this tempo here, trying to pick up all the wins, especially before the reroll spec. We're going to give up on the Akali, so we're going to pray that we're not in a Akali jail. It's better to be in a Akali jail than being in an Aatrox jail. You can appraise the Akali with something like a Maokai or whatever. And since our game plan is already to play around this fast time, Misfits here is amazing. You do not need to be running Misfortune. You do not even need to be running Rust, but it's fine to be keeping Rust. You're going to be playing a lot of bronze traits, and remember, Misfits counts the orange traits to gain the extra HP. Tons of Touch, generic econ, Feed of Limbs, better in the earlier stages of the game where the Sunfire is going to have the maximum value, but we do not have any frontline items. So if we didn't see this Misfits, which is amazing for this fast line, this would be probably the option we might be considering. Otherwise, we could be doubling down on econ is a little tricky, right? You're going to be getting to your fast 9, but you're counting that you're going to be able to dish enough out enough damage so that the rest of the lobby is not able to reach their maximum tempo spikes, maximum caps, and therefore doubling down Econ is a little tough. Solo plate does not exactly work out that well with the Shen. For obviously something like a Warden where your Warden is just incredible. You're probably best tank in the game right now. With the solo plate, it's going to be great. And Mighty Mech, but Misfits, in my opinion, for that cap provides a maximum value. Plus, the added benefit here, right, that we're getting this Challenger online finally for this Velvet as well. That is going to provide more power to our board. We are fine to be opting out of the 3 timebreaker here to just simply try to extend our streak, try to preserve as many lives as we can. We already have quite a few rerolls back. I suppose he didn't move the MF just because he ran out of time. Nonetheless, he's going to bait the Talon away, so that's going to keep our Velvet safe for a little bit while, and that's going to allow us to pick up the win. Maybe a genius play by Dishsoap, maybe just a little out of the time, who knows. And let's see how the rest of the lobby seems to be also indexing more on these fast 8, but we have some rerollers, but it's great that there are not that many who are opting to spike right now. There's the Zoe too, though, that is quite scary. We're trying to also dodge the Leona. Trying to see any kind of positioning advantage we can get. Alright, we're going to be having to go on this one. We have to get through this Radiant Stoneplate. Thankfully, it's just an Ward 1. This might be a tough fight. The Diana is also getting on our Velvet right now. And yeah, this Ward is just super strong right now. And they have the damage to support him, so we're going to have a problem. Cryogenic Hex, amazing. Well, with the Cosmic Hex, a little overlap, but again, absolutely insane for your Mighty Mechs, for your solo frontliners like Warren. We're going to want to find any kind of econ options we can get from this Thresh. So we're going to align ourselves with it. Also, this is just a super high power god game, right? And if you're going to get to that fast 9, the Thresh has the possibility of print this components. Getting the extra HP, getting the extra attack speed is so immense of a value for this fast 9 board. Opted to pick up a sword, so we could be considering slamming this Deathblade right away, since that's going to transition either to the Graves or to the Viewer quite nicely and gives us a completed item right away. Keeping this tier open, which can become any form of a frontline item, right? Our plan is to be playing around Nunu generally, which loves the Protector's Vow. Also, Morgana can utilize Protector's Vow. And Adaptive Helm as a tempo slab is also a completely fine of an option. Very close fight here against Steel of Bora, but in just a nick of the time, the Mammoth gets her ult off, and we're able to pick up a crucial win for ourselves, taking an extra 7 damage here would have been a lot for ourselves, especially since they do not have these frontline slabs. We might not have it exactly enough time for this Belveth to be stringing together. Otherwise, we have this Bard of an option, but you know, you sometimes have to be flexible with your units when you go for that fast 9. But I don't think we have the items to play around this Bard right now. I also do not have anything that really would string it together. I have the LeBlanc, which we, in my opinion, could have considered holding up onto. There have been people just carrying the LeBlanc one since she can be so stable even without Arbiter, right? As on level 8, just as a pathway to your Vex, since yeah, she just transitions her items pretty much almost 1-to-1. Have this TK now that we are at 72 HP since we lost that last round as well, and going at 4-5 seems kind of appealing to me, and this TK print is going to come just in nick of a time, and then we can see if we want to flex around TK2 as a possibility of tank. Going to opt to go for aggressive level here immediately. Also, Oracle provides that extra Misfits buff, so that's a nice buffer for our frontline, where we are lacking exactly right now. Now probably the rerollers are going to be looking to spike Soju there with Milio too, but well, we queue into him right away. He seems to be, I'm not sure, he's planning to play some form of AP flex, I would suppose. As long as we can get through this Morgana, but the Cryogenic Hex and the Warmog scaling onto this Morgana is a lot, and the Milio too there to support it. Leaving Op now for our last, yeah, we slammed that Spirit, sorry, the Adaptive Helm, which transitions, and then Striker still has an open eye component, is completely fine. The belt can become a tank item if we wanted to as well. Ascension gives us a high cap. It's a very strong augment, but if we are playing a fast 9 board right now, we consider we probably have enough econ with these banked up free rerolls. We were probably looking for some kind of items, right? We would definitely want to itemize our units. If for Pandora's, it's even, in some sense, maybe a little appealing, could help us sort out our items. But it's just a little bit low, and you can miss a lot. And now Dishsoap doesn't really like this augment himself. Charge transfer would be more for just your generic combat option. And yeah, he reloads the Pandora's immediately. Indiscriminate killer. Maybe he's valuing that we do not have enough econ in this spot. Could it perhaps be that? And then we see Heroic Grab Bag, which could give us an MF2. And transition the items, make us a little bit more stable until we make it to that level 9, and then we can maybe perhaps, you know, carry this MF2 forward until we upgrade one of our 5 costs. Otherwise, defaulting Ascension here is a strong combat option. A lot of players are super hot on it. Indiscriminate Killer gives us an item. It's fine. It's a great item for Vex, but maybe he's truly evaluating that we need more econ. Lulu 3 coming out from title right away. Crashter's damage, just another generic combat option. It's great in comps where you want to stall or potentially force some kind of fraps with Master Yi. And yeah, since we went to the first level, lost our streak multiple times, and this gives us immediate MF2. We're just going to be immediately ripping the Heroic Grab Bag, rebounding on our econ, and this is probably the right play. Yeah, this is the right read that actually we wanted some econ so we can push comfortably on 4-5 and actually have the raw gold to be able to cap out our board. Well spotted, but we're going to be playing on this. We're hoping that the Thresh is going to give us enough scaling to outcap in combat power. The rest of the boards have to hope for those HP and attack speed rolls, and perhaps just the Misfits at HP buffer is going to be just enough. The thing with Cluttered Mind, though, is that we're going to be off interval here coming unless we are able to win a fight and print the Timebreaker XP. But we have to be on the spike timer. I'm not sure if we can sack one more. We're going to be 39. I mean, if you lose one more, we're going to be somewhat comfortable. We have a lot of free rerolls, though. Roll the Bones, another econ option coming in. Starlight Hex on Vex is not exactly what the Acceleration Hex would be looking for, and I'm not sure. Maybe we could utilize it on something like a Dudu for mana. But Roll the Bones definitely gives us the extra econ that we would be looking for, on average about 10.5 gold. And then we're able to probably pick up a Nunu here. Would want a frontline option. No, going to go with the Rod. Is the rest of the lobby contesting Nunus? But we're going to be immediately pushing level 9 here now that we have this extra econ that we're looking for. Find the graves because also, yeah, we want to get this grave scaling. Delaying it even further is going to be quite a long time. Pick up crucial pairs, and also manage to hit this Vex 2 plus Tonkench 2. That's hopefully going to be able to stabilize our front line. Q into, seems to be some form of AP flex board, but around mech. Try to play no, this is the mech board trying to play around mech, but didn't hit it, but hit Morgana too, and this Morgana unit is just busted as well. Super durable, especially with any kind of hexes here. Going into the default variant of Assault Frame, trying to transition our board even further to your standard variant around this Fast 9. Still on sitting on a lot of pairs, and you can see this is why the Fast 9 is so expensive, right? You make there even with something like the 50 gold to roll, that's generally not going to be enough. 1, 2 cost, 5 cost upgrade is going to cost you already 15 gold. Therefore, you want to be having like 70, 80 gold to be rolling on the Fast 9 to be actually able to stabilize. And now we queue into this Ornn 2, tanky Ornn 3, which is absolutely incredible in this combat power. And now we're dropping to 1 life. You can, well, we can take a narrow loss next stage still. That's going to be about 10 base damage. So yeah, we are fine to be taking some loss. Now looking probably for frontline options or any kind of grace. Find a TG, which actually could be quite useful. And have the option to make the Shen 2. Are we going to opt to make the Shen 2? We have to give something up for him. One of our 5 costs. And maybe we're scouting around to see if there are any 5 costs, or do we actually need this spike? Also waiting for this Thresh. Thresh got us. Gave us the econ that we needed. Well spotted. Didn't make a decision until we waited to see this Thresh. Something that I sometimes forget to do myself. And we're going to immediately slam the TG on him. And now against K3 Sojo, who has ended up in the AP flex kind of a board playing around that Nami. As long as we can get to this Morgana. So again, super durable with a cryogenic hex. But the Vex has scaled up and we should be able to clean up the fight. Might have been a Shen 2 Ziv actually. That's why we scouted the lobby to see if we are going to need to really make this and then consider what we could be selling. I would assume we would have sold probably the Fiora. Well, the Fiora 2 comes in. That's going to hold our items until we're going to get to the Graves 2. Transition also the Adaptive Helm, so we're hoping that this Misfits is just going to have enough HP buffer for our melee units to be able to drain tank 4 to this Vex. Into Challenger Urgot here. The Challenger is some kind of Nova Challenger. They're trying to play in the Challenger reroll right there, but right there go. Maokai maybe free? I mean, there are the 3-cost rerolls, but it doesn't seem that they had that much success with the comp. Hard to hit. Also, if you're not going to be able to tempo around that MF2, you're going to be in a rough spot. Have the Graves 2 in the shop, but I would not want to give up on the Nunu pair. We do so. How many players are playing around Nunu? This player definitely wants Nunu here. Also is Milio here trying to transition, try to play around LeBlanc, but didn't hit LeBlanc too. And is now carrying that Vex until I assume they're going to get to her because they are stuck on level 8. Should be easy pickings for ourselves. Sometimes just unfortunately happens. When you're indexing on these econ and combat and item augments, you might not be in a spot to be able to cap out. Are we going to keep the items on the Fiora or are going to look to transition them on the Graves that now that we have quite a few upgrades? Pick up a GS for this Vex, which is going to improve her itemization. Allows us to, well, the Nunu 1, I mean, maybe he will cast with the Adaptive Helm, I'm not too sure. Here, Steel of Bora has played, I guess the booster pack gave him the Mordekaiser 3, that would have been my assumption, but he also wants those Nunus. So, no, it's at least 2-way contested, I would imagine 3-way, given how common of a unit he is. But we are closing in on the top 4. The bottom part is very close in HP, so this is coming up pretty much a crucial fight for ourselves. And we have quite strong players. Title here, streaking all the way up here with that literally Lulu 3 coming in. And we're not really doing much about the positioning. We are assuming that this should be quite fine. Keeps the Vex away from this Lulu. And this is the Mountain Lulu, so she has that possibility for a stun. And Graves has that CC immunity, but it might be expiring right now. But we have rammed just enough to clear up the fight in the last second. Greatly spotted. And now we have to face a couple of 3-cost rerollers more in our final top 4. Thresh is giving us more HP, which is exactly what we would be looking for these combats. That's, well, ideally one more component so we can complete an item onto this Fiora. Nonetheless, very well stabilized from that early Vex 2. Not opting to go for that front line, but wait, Nunu 2 comes from the sky. The Thresh gives the TK gives us a more of a print. And now Blitz 2 coming in. Now we hopefully should be stable enough to be trying to take onto this Ornn. going full A damage build onto this Graves. Now that he has scaled up, he should be a monster. And let's see if the Fiora has that little bit of an extra 2 damage to help us. But the Vex is able to start chipping at the backline. We nicely managed to clean up the rest of the board and clear off the 2 tanky player. Now we really don't have anything else to be rolling for, so we could be considering maybe pushing level 10 to complete against Title. The game should end, well, depends how close these fights are. We might be pushing to 7-1. But the Steel of Boro, I believe we have reached a maximum critical mass thanks to these extra eco options, but he has strung together the Vanguard Fast 9 board also quite well. Nunu also on both sides going quite strong. The Mordekaiser is holding up, but not long enough, and the Graves just has reached pretty much a critical mass to be the best unit in the game already. So we are on a 1v1 against Title, but looks like he lost to our ghost fight, so that is a great sign for ourselves. Able to push level 10 here, utilize some of these free rolls just to find a free slot, and this extra armor reduction here against this board is going to be quite nice for ourselves. Trying to move the Fiora here to the side as well, to just so that she has that true damage, because we expected this tank to be moved right there. He is not positioning Lulu at the same side of the Vex, perhaps believing that there's not that much he can do, because we are just continuously scaling with these extra items that we are getting. And I was just expecting that maybe, you know, getting a stun on the Fiora and the Vex as an off chance from this Lulu is something you might consider. But we pick up a declaw, so making this matchup for them even harder, and I believe we should be in a fine win-out spot. So overall, very nicely executed game by Dishsoap. Very early on, identified that with the condition. Wait, that was extremely close. That was more closer than I expected. I expected us to start steamrolling. All right, we're back in business. This is perhaps the last fight. He has picked up a Morgana too. Transitions the items. Has the declaw right there in front. Are we? And then either side we go. Like, they have that cryogenic hex Jax on that side, so we do not really want to be swapping sides. And they didn't hit the Nunu too, so let's see if this Nunu again might come down to these Nunu ults. The Nunu does not hit our Vex, and we should be now cleaning up. Alright, maybe just a little bit of a fluke in that last fight. A nicely strung together game by Dishsoap. Very early on, identified that we have the possibility to play for Fast 9, as our opener does not lead in that many directions. Saw the Misfits, which is great for this Fast 9 board. You just can see how much extra HP we're gaining from 55 from each of these, so you're getting about a lot more than, for example, Cybernetic bulk that used to be in the previous set. And the crucial decision coming here on 4-2, identifying that we still need more econ. We probably managed to preserve HP. We were in a spot where we probably have to push at 4-5, and we need more econ since we invested in aggressive leveling. Heroic Grab Bag allows us to both preserve HP, get that MF2 out, and then push levels. And through the scaling from the trash and extra items in the later stages of the game, we were able to string together a very strongly itemized board. Plus, some niche decisions of here not having to hold on to these nodes, because he held on to this extra node, so Title didn't hit them, but earlier on we were selling them just to give more power for our itemized units. I would like to thank you for watching. I hope that you learned something new, and I wish to see you in the next one. Have a good one.